877-233-5696 now for the season's best rates. Get $50 off first month storage using code radio50. That's 877-233-5696. 877-233-5696.
Lowe's Provember event is back. In celebration of pros, we're offering special values on top tools to get any job done right. Head into Lowe's and check out the largest selection of DeWalt power tools and accessories. Right now, you can get a guaranteed tough DeWalt 20-volt max bear tool free when you buy a DeWalt 20-volt max drill or impact driver kit. Shop in-store or order online. Lowe's, the new home for pros. Valid through 1/5 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. U.S. only.
1050 ESPN New York. The biggest names and the biggest games. They're all right here. WEPN New York.
To the Braves World Series victory.
That doesn't mean I think they're lucky, Mike. I don't think they're lucky because they closed in their last 70 games. They were 47-23. That's a locomotive.
A big name out with COVID in the NFL.
Basically, what he was trying to lead the media into thinking is that he was vaccinated, but that there are other people that aren't vaccinated. That's not going to fly. That is a lie.
As well as the latest from the rest of the league.
He's not hurting this Cleveland Browns team, but they are hurting him. They're hurting his legacy, his reputation. I mean, people out there disrespecting him, saying he can't play anymore. He can't catch it just because of some of the injuries that he's had and some of the drops. But when you look at Odell Beckham Jr., him and Baker can't even make cereal together, all right?
And action on the hardwood.
Morant downhill by two defenders, hangs. 360 layup! Oh, my goodness!
This is SportsCenter All Night.
Jordan Love has a chance to audition. He has a chance to justify why the Green Bay Packers used a first-round pick on him.
Here's Jay Reynolds.
Plenty of news this week. Midway through the season from the NFL. SportsCenter All Night, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM, Channel 80. And, of course, you've seen the clip by now, at least heard the audio or read the transcript. But, yeah, we'll start by flashing back to August and the direct question put to Aaron Rodgers. And note, for the record, that after being directly asked, he says, yeah.
Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
Yeah, I've been immunized. There's a lot of conversation around it, around the league, and a lot of guys who have made statements and I've made statements, owners who made statements. There's guys on the team that haven't been vaccinated. I think it's a personal decision. I'm not going to judge those guys.
There's obviously been a lot of focus on that one word of immunized, but Rodgers did say, yeah. And as you heard, he continued on to say, quote, there's guys on the team that haven't been vaccinated. I'm not going to judge those guys. Even aside from using the word immunized, virtually everything about that sentence led you to a logical conclusion about being vaccinated. So then comes word Wednesday that Rodgers tested positive for COVID, and the wrinkle that Rodgers reportedly has all along been considered unvaccinated. ESPN Packers reporter Rob Demovsky.
For more than a month, Aaron Rodgers and the NFL went back and forth about whether he should be considered a vaccinated player. Sources told me that Rodgers underwent an alternative treatment before training camp this year that he argued was equal to vaccination. Now, shortly before the regular season opener, the league ruled against him and considered him unvaccinated. Now, if you'll remember, at the time in training camp, we asked Rodgers whether he was vaccinated, and he used the word immunized, saying, yeah, I have been immunized. We asked Packers coach Matt LaFleur today whether that was misleading, and he said, well, that's a question for Aaron. The one thing LaFleur did say is that he is confident all players and coaches, whether vaccinated or not, have followed the league protocols while in the building, saying, quote, we have cameras everywhere.
Rob Demovsky will join Keyshawn, Jay, Will, and Max Thursday morning just after 9 o'clock Eastern time here on ESPN Radio. As Rob mentioned, Coach Matt LaFleur was asked about the situation Wednesday, would not go into specifics.
Aaron vaccinated.
I'm not going to get into any of our coaches or players' vaccination status. I really don't know. I just know that he won't be available this week, and then we've got a great opponent we're going against, and then we'll address next week when we get there. It's a great challenge. Nobody's going to feel sorry for us. We all have to prepare to the best of our ability to go down there and get a win. And that's the mindset. I mean, they're not going to postpone or cancel the game. We have a game to play. It's the next man up mentality, and that's how we've operated for everybody. I think our guys will rally around Jordan. We've got a lot of confidence in him, and what a great opportunity for him to showcase what he can do.
And as you heard, LaFleur not detailing vaccination status, but did admit Aaron Rodgers will not be available this weekend and Jordan Love will start. That right there tells about the situation. Unvaccinated players who test positive must isolate for a minimum of 10 days, even if asymptomatic. Vaccinated players, as we know, can return following a positive test as soon as they produce 2 negative tests within 24 hours in between, as long as they're asymptomatic. In other words, Rodgers would have had a chance to play Sunday if he was considered vaccinated. Packers and Rodgers dancing around the issue Wednesday, but it's clear what the situation is. ESPN analyst Marcus Spears and Keyshawn Johnson.
Either you vaccinated or you not. And if he's not, then this is a situation, and these are the cards that you and your team are dealt. Now, that's one thing. The other thing on it is just tell us, what's the big deal? Okay? Either you are or you not, man. And we're not going to judge one way or another. I think what you got to think of with people that are not vaccinated, you're not just this is not about affecting football. I'm very sensitive to it because there's millions of people across the world that have been affected and passed along, and you may not even have known that you passed it to them. Now, with that being said, just because you vaccinated doesn't mean you can't contract, because you still can contract it. And then on the other side of things, I think when you look at it, people are not going to scrutinize it nearly as much as probably a Kyrie Irving situation, because these are two different situations. Kyrie's not vaccinated, and we all know that, and we saw the fallout from that. Let's see where this goes from here on out with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it was misleading when he said, yeah, I'm immunized. And look, to your point, Key, we tedious when we talk about this because it's so political now. But the bottom line is this: there's consequences to both, and you have to deal with them if they come. Now, we can get into how much it means to your team and what you should and shouldn't do. I am never going to sit in a seat and tell a man what he should and shouldn't do. Yeah. All right. But you have to accept the responsibility based on the things put forth by the NFL. All right. And we could be mad about it. We could talk about it. We can go back and forth about it. The NFL decided to put protocols and things in place for vaccinated and unvaccinated players. And based on the situation and circumstances that arise throughout the season, whether you contract a positive COVID test or a negative COVID test, there are things you have to abide by. So you can be mad about it, but this is the way the structure is set up in the league that you want to play in.
The NFL has the ability to fine players on the first offense of violating COVID protocols, maximum of $50,000. The NFL issuing a statement Wednesday noting, quote, the primary responsibility for enforcing COVID protocols lies with the team, not the league. The NFL did pledge to review the matter, noting that teams have been disciplined in the past for protocol violations. Aaron Rodgers sidelined for at least this week. Things are different in New Orleans. Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas says he won't play this season because of complications related to off-season ankle surgery. Coach Sean Payton.
I think it's accurate to say that there was a setback, and it wasn't anything of his. He's working his tail off, and the setback had more to do with the procedure he had initially that was just done. And as they went through the scans, there's a chance that he may have to have another procedure done. And so I can't call in and have Dr. Anderson get on the call with us and explain to you. But I think that Michael is working his tail off to get healthy and become available. I think that this isn't anything he can control. And so this has more to do with the tightrope procedure. And what that is a procedure that strengthens the ankle after, you've had a significant injury to that area. So the setback is really surgically related, and we'll kind of go from there.
Thomas posting about his setback on social media, quote, to my displeasure, I will not be able to make it back in time for this season, but will do everything in my power to get back to the player I have always been. SportsCenter All Night ESPN Radio. Michael Thomas isn't the only wide receiver we may not see for a while. Browns wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. excused from practice Wednesday, a day after his father stirred the pot by sharing a video of Baker Mayfield not throwing passes to his son. Mayfield asked about it on Wednesday.
I can't exactly speculate exactly as to who he was speaking on behalf of. I think a lot of it comes from his father perspective. I think, obviously, naturally, he wants his son to succeed. I can't blame him for that. I want Odell to succeed. And that's where we were at, and or at least so I thought. So that's all I really have about that one.
Mayfield saying he was surprised by the video, but says he has had conversations with Jarvis Landry, who's close with OBJ.
He's extremely close with Odell. I think, like I said earlier, we all want to see O succeed. There's no doubt about that. We're just going to take it one day at a time. So we didn't get into too many details because I don't want to, draw that line in between them at all. That's not what I'm trying to do. But Jarvis wants to win just as badly as I do. And those are the types of guys types of focus that we need to have right now.
Beckham was obviously not dealt by the trade deadline on Tuesday, but still may not be long for staying with the Browns. The team meeting with Odell's reps on Wednesday. Here's our Stephen A. Smith.
He needs to get the hell up out of Cleveland. He doesn't want to be there. I do not condone his father chiming in on social media the way that he did. No, Odell Beckham Jr., that's you, bro. Nobody's going to believe it's just your daddy. Nobody's going to believe that. They're going to believe it's you, okay? And so that comes across as childish and immature, and that is not a good look for Odell Beckham Jr. But I do understand his level of frustration. He is absolutely positively miserable. His soul ain't even there to play some football with Baker Mayfield.
Beckham miserable, obviously disgruntled. ESPN analyst Dan Orlovsky.
It's not working on the field, okay? We now have, over the last 48 hours, kind of some evidence that it's not working off the field either, okay? I think Odell's silence yesterday after his father releasing that video says everything that we need to know.
Yeah.
I agree. They need to release him because there's no way you can function. I'm just telling you as a quarterback. There's no way I can function in the locker room as the quarterback of the football team, as the leader of the organization, or the face, when I know...
And I'm side-eyeing you every day.
When I know that you don't think I'm good,
Absolutely.
and I know that you don't want to be my teammate
Absolutely.
anymore. For the betterment of the now and the future of Baker Mayfield, and for the football team, you've got to move on for Odell. Now, do I think Odell can be a top 5 receiver in the NFL again? I'm not sold on that.
I'm sold he could be a top 10 guy.
Correct. I don't think he's a bum anymore like people are making him out to be.
No, he's not a bum.
Correct. I still think he can play.
Yes,
I still think he can play. I just don't think it happens in Cleveland.
We'll see if the two sides can decide whether to cut ties or whether he and Baker Mayfield can move forward. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio.
A swing and a bouncer to short. Swanson has it. The throw across to Freeman, and that'll do it. The Atlanta Braves defeat the Houston Astros 7-0.
Friday will be Celebration Day in Atlanta. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Braves will be acknowledging both the past as well as the present with their parade. The Braves beating the Astros in 6, capturing their first World Series in 26 years. And now they'll hold what is essentially a 2-part parade. They'll start at Woodruff Park in downtown Atlanta, stone's throw from their former homes at Turner Field, which is now the home of Georgia State football, and the old Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, which is now a parking lot for the TED. After a 2-mile trip along Peachtree Street, they'll scoot over to suburban Cobb County, resume the parade, wrap up at Truist Park with a free concert, which features Ludacris and Big Boy. In addition to the parade, there's work to be done this offseason. There are high-profile free agents on both of the World Series teams, including for the Braves, World Series MVP Jorge Soler, Eddie Rosario, and Freddie Freeman, ESPN insider Buster Olney.
I think they'll work it out where he's going to come back. Look, they broke off contract talks in the spring, and that was at a time when, they're coming off the COVID season. Nobody knew how many fans were going to show up at ballpark, uncertainty about revenues. And on Freddie Freeman's side, I don't know if his representatives necessarily dying to make a deal either, because we need to know the full context with the CBA coming up. The expiration is on December 1st. I think that they will wind up getting something done because he's the face of the franchise, and that's not going to be what you're going to present to your fans. Yeah, we're going to let that guy go now that we won a championship. I think they'll work out something after they get the CBA signed.
The Braves had hoped to lock up Freeman to a long-term deal before they got to the end of the season, but the two sides have yet to agree on terms. As for Houston, Wednesday also marked the day where Justin Verlander became a free agent along with Carlos Correa. Correa made the first out in the bottom of the ninth of Game 6, and during the at-bat, did it cross his mind that it could have been his final one in Houston?
It's the only thing that was going through my mind, to be honest. A lot of feelings, mixed emotions. I spent 7 years with this club. Yeah, it was going through my mind for sure.
Most experts not expecting Correa to be back with the Astros. As for his prospects as a free agent, Buster Olney?
He's going to kill it. I mean, Carlos really set himself up well. You know, the big question about him coming into the year was, can he stay on the field? And he did. And he had arguably the best season of his career. And the expectation is that there's going to be a flush market for those free agent shortstops, and maybe a surprise market because teams like Seattle and Detroit and Texas will be really aggressive, along with the Yankees or maybe Philadelphia. Carlos turned down $120 million from the Astros in spring training. I think he might get over $200 million, maybe even $240, twice as much as what the Astros offered.
Players becoming free agents on Wednesday, the day after the World Series ended. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. A tragedy that includes some staggering numbers involved. That's next. SportsCenter All Night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up Thursday, 2 preseason title contenders are heading in the opposite direction, and we got a good look at both on Wednesday night. We'll tell you who's actually on the right track Thursday morning on Keyshawn, J. Will and Max on ESPN Radio.
This night.